Welcome to another 2020 video. We just wrapped up stop number 4 on the Fisher of Men National Tournament Trail on Lake Chatuge. If y'all are new here, I always do kind of a post, we'll call it like a post-game breakdown of what we did right, what we did wrong, what were our top lures, what patterns we found, you know, how we finished, where we stand in points for the year. So all of the details I'm about to break down in this video. So let's start off. Let's start off with practice. We fortunately were able to practice. I actually ended up, went up a couple weekends before the tournament, and my partner went up the weekend before the tournament. And practice was pretty fun. The first week I went up, the water was in the low 50s. We were, you know, focusing on windy points and blow-throughs, just looking for some, you know, some fish that had already started to move up, but the water was really cold. So it was kind of tough. Didn't really find a bunch other than the fish weren't shallow yet. And that was that. Now the weekend before the tournament, we were able to get up there and do some pre-fishing. And water was still pretty cold. I think we saw 56 to 58, 59, so still relatively cold. But man, we had a blast of a day when we went out before. And we caught so many fish. I think we caught 50 plus fish in one day. And you guys have probably seen the practice video already, but super fun day. We dialed in a good bite. It ended up being, you know, on a Kitech. These fish were kind of, I would call it staging, almost like Lake Russell, to be honest with you guys, if you have been following along, kind of like Lake Russell. We kind of found these fish, you know, out in the little bit shallower ditches and out off the ends of points, and they seemed to be just, you know, ready to get up there, but I don't think the water was warm enough yet. But either way, we caught those fish suspended with a Kitech, you know, caught a couple, you know, up on top water, a couple on like a multi-jointed swim bait. And just a super fun day. Again, we had dialed it in. We thought that's where they were. You know, we didn't think much was going to change before the tournament. And lo and behold, let's get to tournament day. So what a crazy, crazy thing. So we get to the water on tournament day. And let me back up one step. We talked to some guys who fished Friday. We did not fish Friday before the tournament. But we talked to some guys who fished Friday, and they were telling us water temps, what they found, you know, just generally, obviously. They're competing against us. They're not going to give us everything. But they were saying that the water was 70 to 71 degrees. So that water temperature came up 14 degrees in 1 week. I kid you not. So 14 degrees in 1 week, just mind blown. I was like, oh my goodness, they're going to start moving, hands down. And immediately after that, you know, a bunch of guys are talking about finding a bunch of big largemouth on bed. So what I thought is, oh man, are we doing the right thing? You know, our fish probably moved on us, hands down. I mean, the water came up that fast, water temperature came up that fast. There's no way that, you know, maybe our fish are still there, but man, now we got to compete with some largemouth guys. And so that brings us to the day of the tournament. You know, a lot of questions going through our minds. You know, so much has changed. The water temps changed. And on the day of the tournament, oh my goodness, we had 4 seasons in one day. So it started off, you know, cloudy and windy, and then it got colder in the morning, colder, cloudier, and then the wind went away, and then it rained, and then it got sunny with no wind, and then it got hot and sunny with a ton of wind in the afternoon. So I mean, just absolutely bizarre day of tournament fishing, but that's beside the point. So crazy weather conditions, but we started off and we wanted to go exactly kind of like what we'd planned. We went to those staging points, you know, kind of those staging ditches, and we saw fish immediately. But these fish were very uncooperative. They would not eat, they would not bite the Kitech, they would not eat you know, we tried a couple of different things. We threw a rooster tail, we threw spinner bait, we threw swim baits. What else did we try? We tried a shaky head. Not for very long though. But anyway, we were around a lot of fish, just could not get them to eat. And I'm not sure why they wouldn't eat that Kitech that day, but that's what we stuck with. We stuck with it around the lake and stuck with our same pattern. We never changed. We didn't go shallow till the end of the day. And I tell you guys all this because we struggled. I mean, hands down, we struggled. I think we had just shy of 13 pounds for the entire day. It was a brutal day looking back. So kind of to jump into that right now, I would say the biggest mistake that we made is we did not adapt that day. We did not just go fishing. We, because of practice, had something in our minds that should have worked, and we saw a ton of fish. We just never got them to bite. So we could take that two different ways. This is, hindsight. So we're jumping into it. The good, the bad, the ugly. Two things. One, we didn't change patterns when it didn't work for 5 hours of the day. We did not change. We did not, go try something different, and we should have. Number two is we should have went finesse. So you guys don't know this yet, or maybe you do, but how the tournament ended up, the weights were extremely close. I think the lowest person finished at just over 8 pounds, and the highest, winning weight was just at 16 pounds. And there were so many, right at, in between. I mean, it's not a huge range. Everyone had a limit, so the weights were super tight. And for Chatuge, that's a pretty low weight. I mean, for a winning weight, that just was not good. So again, anyway, the day was really, really challenging for most people. And what we could have done, and what some of the guys at the top of the leaderboard did, is they went straight finesse. I'm talking drop shot, Nico, shaky head, what else? Probably those three things, guys, and probably just slowed way down and went straight finesse. We probably should have picked up on that. They just weren't eating the power fishing baits. And I'm not exactly sure why, to be honest with you guys. But we should have made that adjustment. And again, we learned from this one for sure. But we ended up catching all of our fish on either a Kitech, which not very big ones, but a bunch of our 2.5 pounders. And then we had a couple 3 pounders. My tournament partner was throwing a sweet bait, which for you guys who don't know is a multi-jointed swim bait. And he was throwing this over brush piles and getting those fish to react and actually come up and smash the lure. So on a day where nothing worked and they were acting really sluggish and slow and wouldn't open their mouths to eat anything, I don't know why, but they'd eat a swim bait, but we didn't get enough of them. That was the only problem, is I think we only had 2 bites on it all day, but they were our 2 bigger bites. I think both of them were right at about 3 pounds. So truly unfortunate we couldn't get that to fire more. We probably maybe should have ran it more in the afternoon just to try and, commit to it and try to get 5 bites. But again, I don't know what we did, or what we were thinking, I should say, on tournament day, but we just, being honest with you guys, we just did not change like we should have. So that's kind of the takeaway from that, is we should have went finesse and we should have changed patterns just to try something different when something wasn't working. So I tell you guys all that. Like I said, we caught him on a Kitech and a swim bait. Kitech is no secret. I throw it on a spinning rod, G Loomis. I think it's an 852. Using a 1/4 ounce head and a 3.3 Kitech. Throw it on 10-pound braid to an 8 or 6 pound fluorocarbon leader. No secrets there, casting at fish that we could see on forward facing or just out over points and, hopping it, shaking it along. My tournament partner was using, again, that sweet bait. He throws it on 15 to 20 pound Berkeley big game. I personally would throw it on fluorocarbon. That's my preference. Rod, anywhere from a 7-foot to 7.6, moderate. Medium heavy rod, I would say, would be best. So any swim bait rod. He was also throwing it on a G Loomis swim bait rod. But those were our 2 setups. Pretty straightforward, nothing out of the ordinary. Again, we should have switched up to maybe a shaky head, drop shot, Nico, just something more finesse on that particular day. When we figured out, by noon, 1 o'clock, that even that's kind of late. I would say by 11 or noon, we should have realized that our pattern was not working like it should have, like it did in practice. And we should have tried something a little different. We did in the afternoon. We did go throw a mag draft around docks just to see, but for about an hour or 2, but we didn't even see fish up there. So we caught a bunch of fish, and surprisingly, after reviewing the footage, we actually ended up catching more fish than I thought we did. I thought it was a grinder of a day. I thought we only caught, maybe 10 fish. We ended up catching closer to 20, which I was surprised at. Just nothing big. We never really got a big bite. We never caught anything that was, huge for us. And it was just unfortunate, to say the least. So that's kind of the day in review. Going to weigh in, again, we get to talk to everybody. The teams who won, made that adjustment, or you know, to go finesse and slow down in the presentations and just try something that's more finessey. They told us that, you know, all of those guys that had been talking about big largemouth up on bed, every one of them said that they were gone. So those fish left. I don't know what it was. I don't know if it was the 4 seasons in one day that caused those fish to change and move, but just, it seemed like it had everybody spun. Like I said, no one blew anyone away, and no one was really left behind a ton. I mean, the weights were super tight. I don't remember how many boats there were, but a good number of boats. And everyone was, you know, within 5 pounds of each other, which is really, really tight. I mean, that's one fish on most lakes around here. But the big ones just didn't eat that day. Couldn't tell you why. So we ended up finishing at this event an 11th, I believe. 11th? It was 11th or 12th. Either way, we were 11th or 12th, which was unfortunate because we went into this tournament hoping, or not hoping, but practicing, you know, trying to get a, you know, in the money, a top finish, obviously for, you know, you get some money, but at the same time too, we were 3rd in Angler of the Year points, and we wanted to eat up some of that gap and get up into the hunt. And unfortunately, again, finishing at 11th, we did not do that. So I was really bummed when just how the day went, to be honest with you guys. I thought we could do much better than we did. In practice, as I mentioned, we caught 50 plus fish, and we had probably close to 18 pounds. And so we were feeling pretty confident. Like I said, we finished with just under 13 pounds. So, thought we were gonna drop a bunch, but surprisingly, the gaps were so large in Angler of the Year points that we didn't gain any ground on 1st and 2nd. I think we're like 14 places away from 2nd now, and like, I think 17 or 18 away from 1st, which we kind of know the people who are in 1st and 2nd, both of them, both teams. And to be honest with you guys, I mean, anything can happen. It's fishing, but in the last event on Clark's Hill, I don't see us beating them by 20 places. I mean, they're really, really solid fishermen, both of them. And it's unlikely. Now, we're gonna go for it. We're gonna go for the win. I've already talked to my partner about Clark's Hill, and we're gonna swing for the fences. We've got nothing to lose because, like I said, I thought we were gonna drop in points, but we ended up not dropping in points. We're still 3rd in Angler of the Year points, and I think we're 12 places ahead from 4th. So we just have to finish well, and we'll finish at 3rd for Angler of the Year points, which is absolutely phenomenal. I'm ecstatic about that. I think that's the highest I've ever personally placed in a trail for the year. It's not over yet, but I'm saying that there's a large gap between 2nd and 4th. So we've kind of got a cushion both ways. And as I was mentioning briefly right here, but I talked to my partner about Clark's Hill, and we're gonna go for it. I mean, we're gonna swing for the fences. At this point, 2nd or 3rd place in points, although a great accomplishment, is not gonna get us anything. We're not gonna win that trophy for Angler of the Year. So at this point, all there's left to win is money. So we're gonna go for 1st place. Obviously, everyone wants to win. That's no secret there, but that's gonna be our goal, is we're gonna swing. We're gonna flat out swing. I'm really excited for Clark's Hill. We could absolutely hit it right. It's a weird lake. We could absolutely hit it right, or we could hit it dead wrong, and it could be very challenging. So I'm excited to see how it plays out. But that lake has some huge largemouth in it, and everything I've been seeing, it's been fishing really, really tough. I haven't seen any crazy weights out of there, which is surprising for that lake because it is such a good lake. It can be such a good lake, but we're gonna have to hit it at the right time. But I'm super excited for that one. For all of you guys watching that do fish Chatuge or live on Chatuge or fish there often, doesn't even matter, but go ahead and post down in the comments below your 2 cents on what we should have done differently. I'd be curious to know, now that the tournament's over, you know, share away if you want to. Share what we should have done. At this point, like I said, you guys have seen both practice and the tournament video itself. Hopefully you guys enjoyed those and got a chance to watch all of that content. But go, like I said, carve me up. I'm always willing to learn. I mean, tell me, oh, hey, you shouldn't have done this, or you should have tried that. If you guys enjoyed that, go ahead, drop a like down below, subscribe to the channel, and I will see y'all soon.